So, yeah, welcome all. This is our 12th edition, falling on 12th September, which is coincidence, but that's good. So, let's first go through our normals, which is around participation. As I said, as I keep on saying every time, if there is one person, I'm okay continuing this. Hardly matters, but yeah, I still keep on getting this question where to register. There's a link which get updated. There are two ways, as most of you are default attendees. So if you are default attendees, then you don't have to register every week. You'll get an invite automatically. If you are not, then you'll have to go and register every week. And this link ends on every Friday at 3 p.m. Indian Standard Time. The other request that I have for people here, don't forward invites, and the only reason I'm saying it because it makes it hard when I'm trying to make people default attendees. Like last time, I don't know, Jyotsna, from where you got the invite, but I had to go to LinkedIn to find your email ID so that I know, that you need to be the default attendee. So for the first time, please register here so that it makes my life easier to, if you want to be a default attendee, then I can keep on forwarding that invite to you. And I think Tanya, you have a question?
Hi, sir. Good evening. So I forwarded it to Jyotsna actually. We
Okay,
weren't.
not a problem.
Okay.
I was just saying that I don't know, but I remember somebody else also said to be default attendee in the next time, and I was not able to find his email.
Yeah.
So when you forward it, it's very hard.
Right.
Okay, well, yeah, no problems. Okay, let's move ahead. What we have for today, I guess we have 4 5 questions. And the first two questions, I guess, are from Philip. Philip is not here. Yes, he's not here. This question is around troubleshooting Power BI to NAV. Have you faced any kind of bug regarding to that? The message that we received from the system was invalid keyword string format. The correct is this 0 to 9 symbol. It's a decimal. Does it? So Philip, this is as minimum information as I could have gotten to even answer your question. I don't know at what point you are getting stuck. Is it on the portal where you can't register your Dynamics Nav or Business Central link as an app for Power BI, or is it in Dynamics Nav or Business Central where you can't link your Power BI to your Nav or Business Central? But what I'll do is I have a document that is built in that I have created with Microsoft. I don't remember those steps because uh, I, it's not something which is one click or two click process. It's a complete set of steps where you need to do what. So maybe I can forward you that, and let's see, maybe that helps you. So I'll make sure that I'll forward it to you. Let's move ahead. Okay, do you plan to take MB 800 certification for Business Central, which will launch in October? Oh yeah, sure. That's something is already in my queue that as soon as that get available, I should be part of it. Other people know about it.
Yes, yes, I know.
Yes.
So if you don't, Microsoft is coming back with the certification exam, and hope you can see the web page that I've opened. And this is supposed to be released in October, and it will check around setting up Business Central, configuring financials, sales and purchase, and Business Central operations. So I might have to work on finances. I'm not that good on that. But yeah, I'm super interested and super curious of what comes out of next in queue for Business Central exams. I surely want to appear for one for development if that becomes reality in future. Yeah, I'm up for it. I don't know what else you wanted to hear on this, but yeah, I'm up for that exam for sure.
Yeah, I'm also planning the same because this is the most awaited exam. We have long gap in the exams in the business center.
Yeah, as in when Microsoft stopped it, third party started some exams. And I did appear for that also. I guess two exams of those. Yeah, if Microsoft comes back with it, that makes sense. If you test your knowledge on those skills. Okay, next question is from Manish. Can we exceed the allotted timeout in for API call? Manish, I didn't get time to go deep into it, but what I found out is this article from Microsoft about the timeout method that is for Business Central. And it says that in your service tier, set timeout duration is limited by this parameter on your service tier called nav http client max timeout. And as it is a service setting, you can only change it on on-prem environment. So I don't know from what your question is it for on-prem or SaaS? But as it is a setting on service tier, you can only test or change this on on-prem. And when I went ahead and searched it on the service tier, I guess I found something. Let me see. Yes, HTTP AL function maximum timeout specifies the maximum timeout value that can be set for HTTP timeout AL methods, and this is set something like this: R minutes and second. Default value is 5, and dynamically update. I need to check that. Dynamically update is more probably is around that. Is it available on your service panel, or you have to update it behind the scene? I'll have to check what dynamically update means. Anybody know around it? What is dynamic update? Yes or no? Something new in every property that is available. Okay, so let's see this. There are several settings that are dynamically updatable. Dynamically updatable means server instance restart isn't necessarily required after modification. Okay, so that means if you change this value, you don't have to uh, restart your service if dynamically updatable is set to true, which is not in your case. So if you change that setting for HTTP thing, then you'll have to restart your service to make sure that value applies. Let's come back and let's see what's next in the queue. Okay, yeah, this is something that I wanted to talk around. And when I read this question, I thought about Tanya's suggestion last week, which now start making sense because I didn't expected a question like this. But let's read it through. Amrita is learning BC16 with LS retail as per customer requirement. In this, they have a coupon based on transaction amount on one particular category. It works fine. Since I'm new in Business Central 16, I just want to try same customization in Business Central 16. Table extension with check totals setup, step amount created. I want to know how to write code unit to achieve the functionality. These are the steps that I have done in NAV 2017, and this goes and goes to second slide and then to the third slide. This. So, Amrita, first thing, I didn't expected a question like this. And the second thing is, I don't know much about LS retail. Anybody else here knows about LS retail? I'm free, you know, I'm open to talk around this. But, it's like sharing all your code and then kind of expecting that to be fixed. And I have no idea. I guess I worked on LS retail maybe 7 years ago, which is pretty long. It would have completely changed now. So if you have a specific problem, Amrita, that you need to know, then please talk around that so that we can surely answer that. Anybody else want to try LS retail issues? It's a technical issue, but you need to know about LS retail if you're working or customizing that. No one? Okay, so yeah, Amrita, if you want to send a specific question, I can try. As I said, I don't know much about LS retail, so expectations are less from me at least. Okay, and then next question is from Jyotsna, and Jyotsna is here. So Jyotsna, do you want to explain what the question is? And
Um, uh, Basically, I'll just elaborate it. So whenever we do certain upgrade, so there are always changes that gets deprecated in the further releases. But those are not issues or errors. You can totally publish your extension and you can install it. But there are few warnings that will be deprecated in the future. So I just want to know what is the right approach for that? Should we get rid of those warnings or take care of it when there will be an upgrade that will happen? And to add on that, so similarly, I just want to know there's two options. We have force sync and then we have schema update mode. So basically, like I know the difference that with forcing gives you more flexibility, but I just wanted to know this in more depth. So if you can elaborate on that or anyone among us.
okay, that makes sense. So let's talk about the first piece first.
Yes.
So let me drag my VS Code here. Okay, let me know. Can see it. I'll zoom it in. Good. There are two examples of something that's going to be changed in future. A temp blob record and a sales price table. Now, understand it from this perspective that there are two things which are a little bit different in these two warnings. One is that temp blob is marked for removal. Reason will be replaced by blob storage manager. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, when it says that it's have a tag 15.0, that means it was tagged as marked for removal on 15.0 in version 15. Clear?
Right.
We can go there and check maybe. Let's see. Should be open to open that table. So yeah, see that. Go ahead. You want to say something, Jyotsna?
No, 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 no. Continue.
All right. So as it says tag 15, that means this was marked as obsolete tag in version 15.0. And if you know around it that Microsoft have a policy now that any change that they will be removed after 1 year of its marked as obsolete, which means that this object or this table will no longer exist in 16, 17, 18, 19, 19, V19, Business Central 19, which means 2 releases per year. So it was obsolete on 15. So after 1 year of release of 15, which means 4 releases down, it will be removed. Okay. So this warning gives you an idea that if possible, try to use the method which or process which it is going to be replaced, which is blob storage volume, or be ready for this particular piece in your extension because this will break when this object will be removed. So if I check blob 1, let's say, if I say code unit blob, there is no warning because this is what it is going to be replaced with. Okay. So if there is the replacement already in the version that you are working on, then place it if it is possible so that you save your effort for the future. because when version 19 or whenever it's going to be removed is released, then that particular extension will break where that warning was. Okay, is that clear?
Yes. So to brief it out, so basically, it's always better to sort it off when it's a warning than to solve it when it will be an error in the future, right?
Yeah, so that's what I was coming to. So now the next thing is sales price that I have in this
Okay.
example. It says it's marked for removal, reason replaced by new implementation V16 of price calculation. Okay, but at V16, uh, definition, this table is going to be replaced with, uh, if you have read around it, with the interface on the pricing engine. The whole pricing engine is going to be changed. But this also means that this will remove after a year of once this is marked as obsolete. But as far as I know, and others can correct me, or anybody else listening to it later can correct me, right now in Business Central 16, this replacement is not yet fully baked. Okay. So if I want to do a sales price one, I can do that, and I can point it to called, I guess, price. I don't remember the table name. There is a new table for that. But when I read around it, the example I'm giving is this, that we are working with a customer now who is upgrading from 14 to 16, and they had some customers around sales price. So I was stuck at this point. When I did my research, I found some articles on the web which suggested not to use the pricing, the new V16 pricing model till it's completely baked. So it's not the right time to, replace this with that new offering because it's still work in progress. So that's the differentiation that you might have to make when you decide to, uh, change it to the new way or keep it to the old way. And I think Manish have something to say. Manish, you want to say something?
Yes, Saurabh. For the temp blob also, initially I was using there's a function in the table that is from base 64 string. So
Right.
they have released the core unit temp blob, but they do not have any method in that for base 64 string. So what I feel that they have set the warning, but they haven't releases all the methods and other things.
I am in doubt with that because I think there is another object around it which handles it. So it's not just the template code unit.
Okay.
I think there's a coordinate of base 64, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, there is something around it. So
Yeah, there's a base 64 coordinate that we have for it.
yeah, so Manish, you might have to look it from the way, and the way I look at it is that how Microsoft is writing. Right now, app is open for people to check, so you can always look how Microsoft have handled it, and then use the same way because I'm pretty sure I have used it. There are ways with the new methods that can fix that. So I'm looking if I find something around it. Template list of implementation. The seven. Yeah, because there is an interface also around it now. Uh, unit, no, list, list. What is this? Yeah, but I'm pretty sure money there is something around it. I might not be
Uh,
able.
uh,
Okay.
Sort of. I
Yeah,
guess I just read it somewhere. It's a coordinate base 64 convert that we
I,
have.
I, I didn't get you. So yeah, here it is. This is what we are
Yeah,
looking at, right?
right. Yes, yes. Basic 64 convert.
64 convert.
Mhm.
Okay.
So yeah, there are ways, and the best way to find it out is look how Microsoft is doing it, so that you can do it the same way. Get into it, but yeah, there is a way for sure. I have used it. That's why I'm saying. Okay, so Jyotsna, does that clear your question? The first part of it.
Yes, 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 yes. Mm.
The other thing that you need to remember is, and this is maybe around SaaS customers, or you can apply the same rule for on-prem also. Every time a new version comes up, you get multiple heads up. The first heads up is you get a public preview of the release 1 month before general release. So, like last week, the public preview for 2020 Wave 2 is available. Okay, so that gives you a heads up that if you have a SaaS-based customer, you can create a sandbox the next release 1 month before the actual release, and then test out what is breaking. Second thing is on SaaS, you get a window of 3 months before Microsoft forces upgrade on you. So that you have that 3 month bandwidth to fix all your PPs, like keep on pertinent extension, so that you're sure that there are no warnings or errors at that time. And as I said, you can apply the same rule for your on-prem customer. Just build a new Docker, and on the next release, just put a extension on it, and it'll tell you is it breaking or not. Just from the problem side, and it tests around it, then it makes it more easier, because then your test will also run on your Docker container, and it'll tell you that process is also running or not. So to keep pace with the Microsoft upgrade life cycle, you need to be start thinking from the AL perspective, which is changes will be frequent, changes may be destructive to your extension. Okay, and you should be in a position to quickly test out things whenever or a new release or a new cumulative update even comes up. So when you think about it, there are some things that you need to know. One is your automated test. One is your management, how you configure your pipelines on your source control management, so that automated. Everything should be automated, and you should know what is breaking as soon as the release is available.
Okay.
Coming to your second question around schema update mode. Now, I paid attention to what you said around forcing. I know Microsoft is bringing forcing back even on SaaS, but you need to try to keep away as much as you can from forcing. If you understand forcing from the perspective of dynamic snap, also any change that you make, and if you do forcing, the data around field or that will be deleted,
Mhm.
and it's not, you can't roll it back. Now, when you are in an extension model, you don't remain alone in that space. There are other parties or other developer or other ISVs based on the extension you are making. They might have dependencies on you. I'm not saying that it will be available for your extension, but if you think from the bigger perspective, if a ISV start using forcing, then all your PTEs dependent on that ISV may have a cascading effect if you start doing forcing. And there will be no cascading effect in terms of data, but the linkage will be broken. So instead of using forcing, keep it by default, which is synchronized. The by default value is synchronized. To keep it synchronized. If you have to remove something, then use the way Microsoft is doing it, which is mark it as obsolete. Give it, follow the same Microsoft path that this will be removed after this many versions, which is 1 year. This is tagged obsolete 15, like they are saying here, tag, so that other extension, if they are relying on your extension, they know that okay, this thing is going to change in future, and then delete it. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
As in, force sync was one of our best friend in CA, but when you think about AI, you think around the big picture, which is there can be other things that can depend on you. They all will have impact if you do something destructive on your extension. Okay, next now. Okay, so let's talk about Dynamics Run. Who all attended? Anybody was there on the live stream?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did you guys know that the sessions are now available on the YouTube?
Right.
Let me
Sir,
find the
actually,
channel.
I missed your session.
That's okay.
I saw the Azure function one. So I really needed to ask you that where can I see your session? Is it
So
on?
all these sessions are available on Dynamics on YouTube channel under the same four tracks:
Oh, okay.
Power Platform, Finance and Operation, Customer Engagement, and all. And let me see. Yeah. So here are all the session. Anybody attended Waldo session?
Sorry?
Waldo?
No, I did not watch that.
Oh,
I
go
was
and
testing.
surely watch it. It's
Okay.
worth watching. We some of us never pay attention to the what we call that design patterns, and I'm a big fan of design patterns. So, and he showcased a extension which is available on the VS source code. Let me go a little bit ahead if you can go there. He talks around design pattern. What does that mean? How a standard nav design pattern works, and here is that nav design pattern wiki that he was maintaining earlier. And then going forward, he let me see. Yes, so this is a gen example of it. Like you have the master data, you have setups, you have journals. Then from journal it get posted, and then posting you might use journals or document, and then what kind of events you should have when you build your extension, and then what patterns are there. So let me show you the extension when he was running it. Yeah, so this is all theory. If you don't know about design pattern, then surely watch it. Okay, and then he talks about MDAL, and this is model driven AL kind of design pattern. So here is an example using that extension that he talks about. It's completely blank right now, and he's creating a template for the design that you want to use. Okay, so he'll create some code which is he needs a master table, he need a card page around it, he need a list page, and he's not writing the code, he's just creating the master template right now. Then he need a table. Inside that he need a field called description. Then you need a card page and a list page with a field description on that. So once the whole thing is ready, where ledgers and everything is there, we'll just run one command and keep an eye here where changes are 0. I'll move a little bit ahead. Oh, maybe a little bit behind. Yeah. So, so let me show you where he clicks on that. Okay, so now he's ready. Now he should do a Control Shift P and say run the MDL, which is MDL generate AL code. And the best part is it follows whatever the best practices that you should use, the kind of fields that you will need on your tables, the kind of tables you need. So if you see, it created all these tables, all these table extensions, also pages, enums, everything. Okay, and then he'll show you what kind of tables it created, which is like this. So it automatically adds your code on non-validate for certain fields, which is based on how Microsoft is using on standard app. So the whole point is that while you are doing things, you are following the best practices that a pattern that is defined for a programming language, like how names are defined in the standard app or the central objects. So go and surely watch it. It's something that it was late for me, but I had to skip a meeting to see this. But yeah, it was super cool too. And I'm not saying that it will generate code for you, but you'll understand how standard business central code should be written when you're writing it. And then maybe you create wonders with this. He suggested that it will take an hour or so to read this article so that you understand how the template is created. And this is the extension which is right now open source. You can surely download it. And then he also talked around one more thing, which is kind of oops concept in uh, dynamics business central. So let me see where it is, which talks about, I have seen some people who keep on adding events at every place where it doesn't make sense. So he talks around what you need to do, where you need to add, what is, how encapsulation work and how things work in the central code. So he talks around that if there is a method that you are creating for a object, which is a table in business central, then that method should be present in the table. He's not saying write your method there, the whole code there, but the call should be in the table so that it's easy for people to find out that, okay, if I do a cust, then I see that there is a function called block customer, but the code is not there. He's suggesting that every method that you add should be a separate code unit, which maybe to me look expensive for on-prem, but yeah, here is his implementation of that block customer, that the block customer is a separate kind of a code unit where there is only one global function which is accessible from outside, and then all these are local function where the actual code is, you know so every code unit should have only one global function, which is the function which is visible outside. In this case, this function is available or being called from the customer table. And then he talks about readability, which is very important. I'm a great fan of readability. I always want that anybody who sees my code should be able to understand what I'm trying to do, which is very important. That your function names and your variable names should be very specific. Like if you read this, hosting warehouse cost talks about errors first, if there is nothing, error if no date, then it gets the posting number, commits the transaction, gets source code setup, init this. The main function, which is the global function, as he says, in that code unit, should only have the definition of what it does so that anybody can read it as soon as they open that object from your team, so that they should be able to, okay, this is happening and then this is happening, which makes sense to me at least completely. So yeah, Surely watch it. Decoupling, you'll read about it. I don't want to take all of your time here. And then there are all the sessions are there. There's no one left now. You'll find all of them there. Okay. Now we talked about Dynamics Con. The other thing that around Dynamics Con again is the registration for the next Dynamics Con are open on the website, which is in this area called Next Up. Next Up is on March 16th and till 18th, 16th, 17th, and 18th, I guess. And you can either submit a session or you can also register for the Dynamics Con 2021. So anybody here want to present, go ahead and submit your session or register for the conference. Okay. So what else happened this week? Yes. What is that? Yeah. Business Central 2020 Wave 2 public preview is available. And right now it's only available for partners or uh, developers who registered for Ready to Go program with Microsoft. So, I'm spending some time with it. Maybe I'll come up with some blogs as I go forward with it. So before we open it up for question, I hope those who of you were here last week, Tanya suggested, and which I completely liked the idea, that we should try switching these meetings to be more specific on a certain topic. And before I start, I'll say it again. I can't do it every time. So if anybody of you, any one of you want to be a presenter someday, I have no problems. Decide your topic. We can always talk. You have my email ID or my social media profiles, and let's come up with the topic. So as I said last time, I'm sending a. Let me see if I can do it. This is for my first time. Oh, so I'm sending a poll on the chat right now. It should come to your screens. If you're there, is it there?
No, sir. Yeah,
In the
I
chat,
can.
if you see.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
So yeah, if you thought about a topic that we, as we discussed with Tanya last time,
Sir, I have just
uh,
jot down some of the topics. Should I add it here?
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, add it. We all will see it then. Plus, you also can add it. Anybody can add it. I mean, it's not only for Tanya. Go ahead. Other than Tanya, nobody had topics in mind. Anybody else typing? I see Tanya's responses already. Anybody else typing?
I will yes.
Tanya, you're done?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody else want to type something? Or is that it? Okay, Jignesh has something.
Yeah.
Let me know once you're done so that we can see the responses. And Tanya, I'll mute you. Okay, so Jignesh is done. Jyotsna, you have something? I don't know. Cannot hear Jyotsna. Manish, you have something?
Um, yes, Saurabh, but I'll add it afterwards. Will it be okay?
Okay, not a problem. Praveen, you have something?
No, right now, Saurav.
Okay, no problem.
I will add it after. Okay.
Okay. Shuklaji, you have something?
Sort of. Actually, I was unable to like submit the poll. I just added that in the
That's okay.
chat.
That's okay. Shuklaji, you have something?
No, not right now. Thank you.
Okay. Shahid, you have something?
No, Saurabh.
Okay, sounds good. So let me copy these and there's one in Notepad. Can talk about it. Okay. Yeah, we'll just quickly take some time and decide for the next time. Uh, might have something that I can talk about. Okay, here's a kind of a list, and Tanya, you might have to help me to break them into different bullets. Docker, artifacts, automated. Okay, so this is one, I guess. Automated testing. This one. This is for PC code development. Session and design pattern.
So the upgradation process for Business Central is one.
Oh, migration to DC workflow
Mig-
ensure this
Migration to BC is one. Workflows
is
is
one
one.
for function for .NET.
This is one.
Building the extension that is started from .NET is building the extension that is start and let me know if I'm doing something wrong. Power
Power
platform,
Platform.
CDS, and integration with CRM. Is this the list?
Yeah, CDS integration with CRM. Yeah.
Oh. Okay, so let's quickly talk around it. Docker's artifact. That is quite a good information, right? Is there anything specific that you want to know? That's
So
it.
actually, I have not used the artifacts till now. So I was like, okay, we can talk about
Oh,
this as well.
setting up Dockers with artifacts,
Yeah.
still using the nav container helper?
Sorry.
You're still using the nav container helper?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm still using
Oh,
that.
yeah, I have done it. I can talk around it. But yeah, as you know, and we already talked about in the past, I
Yeah.
use Dockers very basic. So, but yeah, we can surely talk around it. Automated testing. Okay, I know what it is. Upgrading process to DC from where?
From any platform, as in any version for maybe nav to 18 to 14 or 14 to 16, any which way.
Okay, so maybe we'll do it twice or thrice so that in a different way. Because there's so many things to kind of understand just on the upgrading process.
Yeah.
Code development session scale. Is this the one? The whole is one?
Yeah, yeah. This is one. This is one.
Okay, I'll try something. Migration to BC. Okay, is it SAS that you're talking about?
Yeah, SAS.
So the problem with the SAS is you need to have a tenant over there. I had an article quite a while ago where I did my first migration to BC. That was way before then. I guess that at that time BC was data replication. As in, it's so simple and we can always do it. And it's complete detailed process even from my perspective. Okay, so
Okay.
go to this one if you don't understand it. I think these screens would have changed, but the process more or less remains the same.
All right.
Once you have configured and reached to this point, then it is nothing. Then it just happens behind the scene. You can keep
Okay.
checking this. Maybe read through this. If it doesn't make sense, then maybe we'll figure out a way. But the problem with this has, as I said, you need to have a tenant over there to even show you how to do it.
Yeah. So
And I've
can
already
you
utilized my
put that
free.
link on the chat?
Okay, I'll do that. Yeah. Workflows. You went through the series that I did on workflows. Still any questions around it?
No, sir. I don't know about workflows at all. I don't know how do they even work. So I need to
Okay.
do this, I guess.
If you go to channel that I have, I should have. There should be a playlist, complete playlist for the. That's it. I can see it here. Okay, in this one,
Mm-hmm.
okay, there is workflow introduction, approval types, notification,
Okay.
different type of approval types that you have in workflows. Okay, so if that doesn't help, let me know.
Sure.
And these all are on Business Central 16, so they are quite latest, not old. As your functions, yeah, that is something that I also want to learn. So anybody here knows about it, I'll do my research for sure, but that's something that I also want to learn. So maybe I'll do my research if possible on that. Updating the extension, okay, that seems fair. Rapid start. You want to know around rapid start what it is, how it works?
No, sir, not yet. So I have just jot down all the the hot list of the business central. So I was like, okay, we'll decide on this topic, and next time even I'll get ready with any of the topics. So
Okay.
yeah.
So yeah, I am still researching around power platforms. I know they are super powerful and they make
Yeah.
sense. Uh, Integration with C I have zero experience. Anybody here knows around it? Feel free. Maybe present us someday. No worries. CDS, I'm still exploring. Yeah, that's a great list of topics. Fun, yeah. Thanks.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
then Jignesh, can you give us a hint around what you need around file management and business things you need?
Uh, so sometimes what happen like file management, the old version like CAD or something, we have the code, we get like file upload and download or something. SaaS, there is a problem with some function is not available. So that
Yeah, right.
is some issue.
So if you
That
can be specific around it, maybe either we have talked around some of these things in the past meetings, and if you give specifics, then maybe I'll write an article someday, or maybe we'll discuss it. I'll do my research that okay, I cannot download a file or upload a file or no uh, attach a file, kind of thing, whatever it is.
the main two things. If I'm need to upload a file to or something or some location and download the file specifically.
upload and download a file, right?
Yeah, it's specifically in SaaS version. Yeah.
Right. Right. Agreed. BC SaaS security, architecture, and authentication. Okay, that is nothing much. As in, what do you want to know around security? It's all with Microsoft. As in, your database is with Microsoft. Your service tier is on Microsoft Cloud. So on SaaS, what kind of is it? Any specific security that you want to talk about?
Actually, we are already aware that there are user groups and then there are permissions, and of course, we have the logins and stuff. But I was just thinking if we can have a discussion, like what is the architecture that we have, or what are the permissions that you can set, or the user groups that you can set. If we can have a discussion over that, and of course, security is managed by Microsoft itself, but you know what goes around it and what's the architecture that they are following. We can just have some discussion regarding all.
Okay, that makes sense. I don't know much, but yeah. Anybody else want to participate in it? We can surely do it. So let's pick a topic for the next week, and you can put it on chat. Now you have heard from every person who have submitted a topic. So let's pick. I'll draw a line. Just pick one topic, everybody, so that we can decide what we are going to talk next week, and then we keep moving this forward as we go ahead. And if you want, I can give you numbers so that it makes it easier. Oh, workflows.
And sort of like if anybody wants to know regarding the integration, I have worked kind of with it, so I can take
Huh?
the topic up in the future.
Anytime, anytime. Whenever you are ready, let me know. Next week, and
Sure.
that you let me know. The way it'll work is the week that you let me know, next week you will be presenting, because I have to set the invites for that week.
Mm-hmm.
So if
Understood.
you say it next week, then we can do it next to next week with you. I don't know. That's open for everybody. Because I only received from Jyotsna and Manish. Nobody else want to attend next meeting. You don't have any favorite in the list. I don't want to be in this, in a school or a college and do the roll call. But Jignesh, you have a topic in mind out of these?
Not right now.
Okay, anything works. Okay.
So
Um,
I like
Go
to
ahead.
go with file management. I'm not able to type. I don't know what's wrong with
Oh,
my,
okay, I'll type for you.
yeah, file management and SaaS.
Okay, type yours. And then Praveen, Shuklaji, Shahid.
We have to add topics or we have to choose the topics to speak on.
Oh, any of these topic that you'd like next week. And then, you can keep on sending me your suggestions, and I'll keep on adding on this list. Out of these right now, next week, which would make more sense to you? You, Praveen, and Shahid.
Maybe we can have the upgrade process like the last version of Dynamics 2018 to the latest version of BC. So our complete process for upgrading can be a better option for the next week.
Okay. So I have typed yours. Anybody else which is left? Shahid? You haven't typed it on green. And let me know if you don't want to type. That's okay.
Saurabh,
Yeah.
uh, I would like to know like Docker artifacts. I see the process that Freddy is on his blog, but
Mhm.
couldn't I could not get properly that what are the process. So I would like to know about this topic that is mainly on Docker artifact.
Okay, that makes sense. Yours is Jignesh, is Docker Artifacts is already there. Praveen is there. Shahid, I guess he's either not in the meeting, just joined and not there. But okay, so based on the current votes, I see two workflows, one file management, one upgrade, one Docker, and one integration. So Praveen, for integration, we'll have to wait for Tanya once she's ready. We'll do that. So now we have a tie between two workflows and two file management. One from Sahib and one from. So as in Jyotsna, what's around custom workflow? You're saying about a completely new workflow or how to customize the base workflow?
Uh, yeah, the new one, like how we have the publishers and subscribers when we want to add new events and responses like this.
Yeah, I have done it in BC14, but I might have to rebrush what else it takes because there are things that has been changed. Okay, so let's pick then file management
So,
and
so you can break the tie. In fact, what's your call?
I have no concept. But okay, let's do file management because one is workflow and one is custom workflow. So that already breaks it because these two are different. So file management, anybody want to present or I can do it otherwise I can do my research and present it. Possible.
So we can altogether put everybody's, uh, everybody can come up with different ideas because I have also been working on file management.
Okay. I'll only work on these two areas as per the request. Okay. And I'm already working on one of them, and that's why I chose it for Manish. He has a pending request with me, and one of them is around this. So, okay, next week it's file management, and Tanya, sorry, I'm saying Tanya. Jyotsna, let us know whenever you want to present, and we'll do integration then. And guys, feel free to send an email or type in chat if you have a topic in mind. I'll keep this list safe and we'll surely touch every topic possible as we go forward. So thanks Tanya for this idea. Let's see how this one goes.
You're welcome.
Okay, any questions? I can stick longer if anybody wants. Otherwise, we are more or less done for the day. No questions? Oh, Manish. Yeah, Manish.
Hi, Saurabh. So, in SAS, can we increase the session timeout?
Oh, we just talked about it. I guess you were not there. And session timeout for the service
Right,
or for API?
for the service.
You can't. As in, I don't know what the value is. We can surely check it, but anything on the service tier you can't change it. Is there a problem with the session timeout? If speaking, you're mute.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, Saurabh.
Is there a problem around that?
So, actually, the service that I gave to the web team, the session timeout, they have sent me the request that when they are submitting the request to the services of Business Central, they are getting a timeout. Not every time, but they experience somehow once in a day. So they only asked me to Is there any way we can increase the timeout for that?
So what they are sending?
Yeah, I'll share you with the error.
No, no. What they are sending? Are they sending an API request or are they sending a client connection request? What kind of request it is?
I'll share this one. So that's an API. Sorry, that's an API.
Yeah. So, and that's what your question was also around, right?
Right,
Around
right, right.
time.
Sorry, I
So
explained
on
this wrong.
SaaS, yeah, on SaaS, that's a very good question on SaaS. Let me see, did you find that or not? On prem, I guess this is a setting for nav HTTP client max timeout. But I was also reading around somewhere for SaaS. Let me see. You can't increase it for sure. As in, you will have to talk to Microsoft for sure. If there is a need for that.
Okay,
Uh, any control on the service tier or at the SQL level is not with you.
okay,
So reach out to Microsoft and they should be able to help you with that for sure. If
sure.
it becomes a problem. Okay, anything else, guys? Girls? Sorry, I keep on saying guys. Yeah.
No, sir.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for addressing the question.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Thank